Yo, what's up, guys? So, wanted to talk a little bit about the projects that I have going on. We're trying to get back on the track this year. With COVID, we didn't get a whole lot of track time last year, so this year it looks like tracks are opening back up. Plan to be in Irwindale in June. Hopefully, all things going well. That's the idea. So, in order to make that happen, there's a couple things that I wanted to do. So, first and foremost, last year for Father's Day, I had proposed to my dad that, hey, for Father's Day this year, what I'd really like to do is uh, basically sponsor him. I offered to sponsor him using my car, one of my cars, along with the motors I have, the parts I have, everything I have, but let him build the car the way that he would want to. So I gave him a budget of $2,000 and said, hey, do whatever you want to the car. I don't care. Everything is still mine. I still own everything outright, but you can do whatever you want. You have free reign. You want to go have it painted. You want to, doesn't matter. Build a new motor, use an existing motor, buy new parts, use whatever. So he took everything that I had. We kind of ran through an inventory, and then he started looking online, looking at different parts, different options, and ultimately he started to make decisions based on the budget that I had given him with what we had and what he wanted to do. So we're about, I would say, 50 to 60% into that. We have a few more things that we need to button up, a few more things that have to get done. It's a lot of little things. We run into a few issues with the motor, but at the end of the day, most of it and the bulk of it is done. So trying to get on the track in June to let him race this car at Irwindale is the ultimate goal. What I would like to do is have you guys follow along so you can see the build, see it progress, and then see us on the track and see how we do. Now, unfortunately, some of this has already been done, and I didn't film any of it because, well, quite frankly, I didn't want to, and I was more concerned with getting it done than I was making a video. So things have slowed down, and at this point, I think we have the capability to record some of it. So if you guys want to see that happen, you want to see, a car go from sitting in my driveway for the last 2 years that's, full of bugs and dust and grime and dirt, to on the track running, then follow along. Make sure you like, tag, share, and follow, and don't forget to subscribe. For now, we'll cut to some film showing the motor that we're building along with the car in its current state. Hope you enjoy. Alright, so I want to show you guys a little bit of the motor. This is a 2109. We'll show it right here. So this has a 76 millimeter crank, 94 millimeter pistons. It does have, pull the tune off. So these are some old school Fred Simpson welded and ported heads. There's a long story behind these heads that if anyone is interested, I will share, or maybe I'll do another video at some point letting you guys know how I got these and what condition they were in and how all of that happened. These heads do not have real big giant valves in them. I believe they're 40 on the intakes and 35 on the exhaust, so they're not super big, but I am quite excited to see how they're going to perform. Originally, the motor that I pulled apart that these heads came with had an FK8 cam in them, and right now this motor is going to be running a W130 with some Autocroft 1.25 rockers, running 10 1/4 compression. It's got an interesting exhaust setup. I picked this exhaust up used from a guy on the Samba, and it is an extremely high mount exhaust. Just give you guys an idea of what that would look like. Just rough idea. But that's pretty much the motor in a nutshell. If there's any questions on it, let me know. I don't know how it's going to perform on the track because, like I said, I've never run these heads. Alright, so let me take you guys out there and I'll show you the car now that it's fully uncovered, and we'll talk a little bit about what it's got in it. Here's the rear of the car. Not much to see, you can tell this has been sitting here a long time. Transmission was built by KCR Transmissions. It's got a heavy duty side plate cover along with a 412 ring and pinion, stock first and second, and then a close ratio of third and fourth. The axles are chromoly axles. It's got MP disc brake kit in it, KYB gas adjust shocks in the rear, 30mm sway away torsion bars, the short bars, along with MP HD spring plates. You can see here this is where the rear of the car has been cut. Got fiberglass with one piece again. Drop spindles, GR2 shocks in the front, adjustable beam, it's been narrowed 2 inches, nothing really crazy going on here. Interior is actually pretty nice in this car. Here's the gauge setup that I've got going. The TAC and Speedo, those were there from the original owner of the car, and that's probably the worst possible location for those two pieces, especially when you're racing. You can't see anything that's going on down there. So we may or may not try to adjust where we have these gauges. We'll see how things go after our first track day. These ones aren't in too bad of a location because you can see them when you glance down, and they're not as important. You know, when you're drag racing, trying to see the tack and where to shift, which in this car you can't see at all. Haven't reconnected the shifter yet. It had just an MP Hurst knockoff shifter. I'm not sure if my dad's going to want to keep that or not, because I do have an actual Hurst shifter, so he may or may not want to put that in. Again, I don't know. The rear of the car, pretty standard, pretty basic. It has a cheap, cheesy chrome roll bar in it that is probably doing the car more harm than good, but for anybody who's ever tried to put one in or take one out, they are a pain to get out of the car with a full interior. So I'm probably just going to leave it, and he'll have to wear a helmet as a result, but it is what it is. Alright, so let me give you guys what the current goals are. Not for this car, we'll talk about this one later, but for the other one, because that's the one that we're going to be focusing on tomorrow. So originally the car had a 2109 in it, and it ran 13.4 1/4 mile with stock tires and a stock gear transmission with a 412 ring and pinion. It ran a 930 at Irwindale, a best of. Same motor combination, same trans, and that's on just street tires, like not even name brand street tires. Like I went to America's Tire and picked up a set of tires for like $30, right? So just real cheap, cheesy tires to get me back on the track. So with the changes that we've done, I'm really hoping that the car is going to be in the high 12s. So those changes are, we had real bad wheel hop issues when we ran the 13.4, which really affected our launch capabilities. So hopefully with that Kafer bar and the Kafer bar being set up with the preload on it, those issues will be gone. The other thing is the motor combination is 100% different. It's a completely different motor. So originally the 2109 in it had heads that were way too big, and it was running an FK8 cam with 44 IDFs. The motor that's being built now is also a 2109. However, it has some original Fred Simpson heads, which are really cool. And I have no idea what they're going to do. So I'm really excited to see what those heads are capable of. I believe we're running 10 and a quarter compression in it with an Ingold W130. So compression is going to be a little high, probably a little too high, but we're going to try to make it work. We'll run a 50-50 mix if we have to of like 100 octane, because I can get 100 octane locally, 191, and see if that helps. In worst case, we'll back the timing down a little bit if we have issues. So that's the motor, real quick rundown of the motor combo. And then the transmission, we had KCR Transmissions who built the trans in this car. I took the trans to him. He pulled it apart, said everything internally looks good, and while he had it, we had him put a close ratio third and fourth gear in it. Not as close as we would have wanted, because we're really trying to keep this on a real tight budget. The whole entire goal is to get that car up and running for under $2,000 using the parts that I have on hand, and then machine work or having to buy stuff, and we're really close. So because of that, when we had the trans work done, we had to buy used gears. So KCR did have a set of used gears that he threw in there that were half the price of new ones, but because of that, we didn't have a whole lot of options with what gearing we wanted. So again, the whole entire goal is to get this car running, get my dad some seat time in the car, get him back on a track, because he probably hasn't been drag racing in, I don't know, if I had to guess, probably 20 years, maybe more. So that's the whole idea, and that's why I'm not trying to go all out in that car. This car is a different story. This car is 100% track race car, all out, all in, nothing left on the table. At least I'm trying not to leave anything on the table. Anything I can do to make this car faster, I'm going to do. The other car is a different story, so keep that in mind if you're following along and wondering why we're doing things one way on that car and another way on a different car. That's the reason. So those are the goals. Tomorrow, again, we're going to attempt to get the motor in the car, probably have to do some more trimming on that mount, and then hopefully get the exhaust on, get everything fitted, and then once we have that done, we can start doing some other minor things while we're waiting to get the alternator so we can get the fan shroud back on. Once we get the alternator, fan shroud's back on, we can probably honestly just put the motor in the car and then either drive it or at least do some testing, do some tuning on it, and go from there. There's mine. I mean, they're both mine, but this one's the one I really care about. If you guys are interested, we'll do another video on this one. This is a cool one, in my opinion. And the other one's cool too, but can't beat that. Can't beat that stance. I am gonna have to raise it up a little bit. That'll give you a sneak peek of what's to come for this car. Trailing arms. Alright, so that was the other car. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you are interested, again, follow along, because there's going to be a lot more videos to come, and in June we are going to be at the track, whether it's in this car or that car, both cars, doesn't matter. We're going to make it happen. We'll push as hard as we can to make sure we get there. For now, thank you for watching, and stay tuned. Thanks.